Hey, Brian here with DIY Outdoor Life, and I'm beginning to think that this was a mistake. Ripple, get back here. Come on, Rip. What do you think, Rip? Hey folks, so it's never a bad idea to go camping, but you know, you've heard me say before in the past that I consider myself to be an all-weather camper. I don't cancel trips based on the weather, but we are currently experiencing a flood and I'm not feeling like the wisest camper right now. Ripple's inside, a little nervous. Whew, it's good to be inside here for a moment. I normally don't hang out too much in the Bushwhacker, but I'm going to show you my setup that I got in here. First, I gotta tell you what's going on. I had no intention on filming today, but I found myself in a situation that might be worth documenting. You might see me making a fool of myself here today. We are camping in a floodplain. It's a flood watch, and it is pouring outside. And the camper's been here for a couple weeks. This wasn't in the forecast until recently, but I was notified today. I do have a radio that this flood watch was in effect. The situation is developing pretty quickly outside, and as it gets dark, I'm hoping to get a couple shots so you can see what's going on. I don't want you to be alarmed, however. You know, I do have Ripple with me. I'm probably going to back the truck up and hitch the Bushwhacker, lift the stabilizers, and if this water gets much higher, we are going to head to higher ground. Okay, so I'm just getting back inside the trailer from taking a few safety measures here. I have raised the stabilizer jacks and now coupled my tow vehicle to the Bushwhacker. So it's still very stable in here. It's not a bad camping experience to stay coupled to our vehicle. I have a nice high line path to get out of here, and in a moment's notice I can get to high ground, so I don't feel like I'm doing anything to put myself or Ripple in too much harm. It's about 6:45, so we have about another half an hour before it gets dark, and I'll probably set the alarm on my cell phone to go off, you know, on the hour to kind of monitor the level of the creek, again, to make sure I don't get myself in too much of a situation. Now that I've put my mind at ease a little bit, I'm going to kick back and relax, and maybe I'll show you a few features inside the Bushwhacker that can really make it more comfortable on these rare days that you are forced to stay inside. I mean, I'm getting soaked even underneath the awning right now because the wind is blowing sideways. So when you know you're going to spend some extended time inside the Bushwhacker or any Teardrop trailer, it's really nice when you can fold the bed up into a couch. The 10SS is actually made for this and comes with these backrests, And because it has a single entry door, you can really fold this up into a pretty nice love seat. You see Ripple's making good use of it. Now this window tips out because there's only that single entry door, and you get some excellent ventilation, and this window you can use even when it's pouring rain. Now you can crack open the roof vent. I don't have one of those Max Air hoods that go over the top, but you can still open this up quite a bit. You see the light come through? Before water starts coming through, you just keep an eye on it. Now you can run some cycles on the furnace depending on how hot it is. That really dries the air out in here. And I did that since Ripple decided to get soaked. The last thing I want is these walls to be bleeding with moisture. You know, if you let too much condensation build up in here, you'll see all the screws and metal surfaces really just start to drip, and that can lead to mildew and mold. So I keep the windows open. This window's tipped open. I crack the vent. I can run the furnace, and you can even run the fan on your air conditioner when it's raining. On this 10SS, and I'm sure on the 10FB as well, and that brings a lot of fresh air into the trailer. It's much more friendly for battery use too. If you're running on power stations like I am, you can run the fan for a very long time on a battery. It's just the air conditioner's compressor that really uses up a lot of the energy. Now, since I've been at this for a while, I've learned a few tricks about how to weather some pretty long storms with these teardrops. I like to be outside as much as possible, but in storms like this, when I really have no other choice, I have picked up a couple tricks that might be able to help you out along the way. One is I made myself dinner at the same time I was making lunch. I made some sausage and rice, and I put it in one of these thermoses with the wide mouth opening. Now this is as hot as when I made it about 6.5 hours ago. These things work really well. So now I can sit back, I can read a book, I can watch a movie, and eat a good hot dinner without having to go outside to cook. You guys know that the galley space in this thing is pretty lousy, and it's certainly not, I would destroy it if I tried to use it today. So the ability to have a cold drink and some hot dinner, not too shabby. So this storm is supposed to let up before the morning, but if it wasn't, I would use one of the tricks that I do a lot with cold weather camping. I also make my coffee in a thermos before I go to bed. The trick for that is to make sure you fill the thermos up. This is a wide mouth thermos that's good for food, but I have a taller, thinner thermos, and if you fill it right to the top, your coffee is fresh in the morning. I'm a bit of a coffee snob. It's not lukewarm and it's not muddy. If you fill it right up to the top and seal it, you'd be surprised if you haven't done that, how long a good fresh cup of coffee lasts. And if it's 15 degrees Fahrenheit outside, it's pretty nice to be able to have your coffee in the morning when you wake up. I do not like making coffee in the Teardrop. Although I've done that before, it releases a lot of steam. And for those of you who kind of don't know what I'm talking about, you're battling moisture in here like nonstop. So any moisture that you're bringing in here, like steaming a coffee pot, is not really going to help your situation out much. It's high, but it almost looks like it's receded a little bit. Woohoo! Oh. Yeah, it's still raining out there. The brook is holding pretty steady. Again, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think we've covered a lot of these tips that I use. I'm going to read a book now. Of course, you could watch a movie. But I'll mention that a lot of this is easier because it's just Ripple and I. Now, I've done this with Lucia before, and usually we maintain the bed position and just rest on these cushions like it is a couch. For me, tonight I'm gonna kick Ripple off, and I'm gonna sleep on this couch formation. It gives me some extra room to be able to dry my feet off before I stick them inside the bed, and to store a lot more things that I'd normally put in the tow vehicle. It's just a lot more convenient to have everything here. Now, because it is just me, I could use the classic pee bottle if I had to, but you know, that's why I was just outside. I'm not afraid to get a little wet. I have a raincoat that I hang from a hanger underneath the awning, and it stays dry. And other than that, everything is pretty good. So I realize there's going to be a certain percentage of the audience that either thinks that I'm crazy or that I'm really unnecessarily putting myself or Ripple in harm's way by coming out in conditions like this, or in my case, staying out in conditions like this. I know it reeks of irresponsibility, but for me, I hope that some people understand that there's something deeply satisfying about experiences like this. It's not thrill seeking, it's actually like a connection to nature. You know, for thousands of years, weather events have been these major parts of people's lives that they had to adapt to. Nowadays, we just turn up the thermostat and watch Netflix or watch YouTube videos, and weather events are basically like a non-event. I realize that for me, this seems like pretty luxurious housing to even have a teardrop camper. And I'm by no means trying to compare myself to somebody that has to live this way. You know, I'm choosing to do this. But this idea of having to monitor the weather and kind of be on my toes and adapt the way I'm living based on what's going on outside, you know, to me, I find enjoyable. And you might too, or maybe you will vicariously through me by watching a video like this. You wanna go out? Come on. Well, we made it. Oh, it is a beautiful morning. I had a really good night's sleep. At 9, 10, and 11, I checked. The brook was going in the right direction, so I shut the alarm clock off. The only thing that disturbed me after that was Ripple being confused about what was her bed and what was my bed. There appeared to be some gray area there. I'm gonna kick Ripple off, kick Ripple off, kick Ripple off, and I'm gonna sleep on this couch formation. Excuse me. There's Ripple's bed. But yeah, I actually got to take a nap this morning. I got up about 6, fed the dog, unhooked the trailer, put the stabilizers back down, pulled my truck around when I saw that we were gonna have no issues today. And now it's Friday. I got a great weekend ahead of me. We're gonna do some hiking. It's my birthday, so gonna maybe have a little bit of cake with the family. That should be fun. But I appreciate you coming along with me on this journey. This was an impromptu video. I actually brought some stuff to change the thermostat and talk about some cold weather installs for the trailer. But this weather condition was sprung on us, and I figured I'd share that journey with you. Some of the tips that I hope you find helpful: folding the bed into the couch preemptively if you know that you're going to spend a lot of time inside these teardrops. Ventilation, ventilation, ventilation. When you are spending a ton of time inside a teardrop when it's raining, especially if you have a wet dog, there's going to be some condensation issues. And that can turn into mold. It can make your trailer smell. So keeping the windows open and keeping a fan on, or running the furnace if you can, even if it makes it a little hotter, are some of the tips that will keep the condensation levels low. I don't cook inside the trailer for that reason. And if you can pre-make your food, those thermoses do a really good job making food at noon and eating it at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. It still tastes fresh, it still tastes hot, and you don't have to go outside in the rain. Oh, here comes Ripple. She found a stick. So we're gonna tune off now. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll post some videos up here of other trips that we've been on. And stay tuned for these winter mods that are coming up. I'm gonna be working on the furnace, the thermostat, showing you some tips and tricks with electric blankets and stuff to use your trailer 365 days a year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.